Hi, this is Jenny Clark with Solvability. I'm here at SOFIC 2017 and ran into Rick Roman as usual. How you doing, Rick?
I'm doing great, Jenny. Thanks. How are you?
I'm good. Well, we always show up at these events because we work with federal contractors and they've got issues that we can solve.
That's correct.
So, Rick, you're in the insurance business and you've been in it for a long time, but how'd you even get started in it?
We had a client that was sending a group of employees over to Afghanistan. They obtained a contract and they needed DBA coverage. So we were able to secure it for them at a better price than anybody else.
Yeah, what is DBA anyway? What does DBA stand for?
Defense Base Act coverage. It's essentially workers' comp when employees are working on a U.S. military base overseas.
Okay, and do they have to have that anytime they work overseas?
They have to have it every time they work overseas. It's part of their contractual requirement. It's usually a pass-through directly to the government.
Well, I think when we talk about pass-through, what people need to understand is it's just like buying travel or subcontracting cost or whatever. It's a separate line when they get reimbursed by the government. It's not blended into their fringe or anything like that. And so it's very specific to each contract. Each contract would have its own DBA insurance policy. So it's very identifiable. And I guess after they come back, is there a review of the actual cost of Defense Base Act and a settlement?
Well, we do an annual audit for them, so
okay.
We'll go back and take a look, and we'll separate. And this is something that everybody needs to realize. Since it's workers' comp, we've seen employers that will include their payroll and their domestic workers' comp.
Right.
DBA picks up the moment they get on an airplane and head overseas. So we just make sure that we're getting that payroll, and then we're also backing it out of their domestic side, so they're not paying twice on that coverage.
Oh, that's really important because a lot of people wouldn't think to pull their deployed employees out of the workers' comp package.
Right.
So you've saved them a lot of money right there.
We try to make sure that they're aware they're CONUS, OCONUS, payroll, and we separate them so they don't pay us twice.
Yeah, because I know I saw you at somebody's office the other day, and I thought he's here to ask some questions, and it's so important to have somebody that'll show up in your office, ask your questions.
Right.
Because when people ask me a question, I'm like, that's the question you asked, here's the answer, but that's not the question you should have asked.
Right.
And I feel like that's what's so important about having a team around you as a federal contractor that really understands the business and can anticipate what's going to happen. And I know there'll be times where you'll hear something that's like, I got to call Jenny on that one.
Right, exactly.
So the other thing that I think is new is, you've got a poster behind you about insurance for unmanned vehicles and drones. That's kind of a new area. What do you do in that?
We insure the drones for liability, for bodily injury and property damage if they hurt somebody or hurt somebody's property. We'll also insure the drone itself for physical damage. So we've actually paid out a claim where a drone crashed and it was a $30,000 drone and we paid to have a new one replaced.
Yeah, they get pretty expensive, I understand.
Oh yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They can.
And so, I guess back in March we had the Florida GovCon Summit, and at that you were on the cyber panel. And until we started organizing that, I had no idea you knew anything about cyber. And so you told me some things to look for, but one of the biggest issues right now is, do people need cyber insurance?
In my opinion, everybody needs it now. It used to be one of those coverages that was new, or nobody understood it, but now it's an essential coverage to have because anybody can get breached. I don't care what kind of work you're doing, and we're seeing it every day.
Right.
Yeah, the loss ratios on those policies are creeping up because more and more people are covering it or getting the coverage, and then more and more people are getting breached.
Right. And you were talking to me about the breach that just happened in the last couple of days. Did you have any clients affected by that?
Had nobody in this last round over the weekend, but we've had a couple weeks before we had a large healthcare practice had a breach. A ransom attack where they froze all their data and had to pay $8,000 in Bitcoins to get their data back.
Yeah, and I think the scary part about that is it's like you have no idea where you're sending the money and you don't know that sending the money is going to release your data.
Right.
So really being able for somebody to be able to call and talk to you about what the possibilities, and I think the other thing you mentioned is somebody called and was talking about it to you, and you said, we sold you a policy for that.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a big relief? How did they hug you? How did they feel about that?
They forgot they had the coverage. They were very happy when they had it.
Yeah. It's a scary thing to deal with. The other thing that we learned about that cyber panel is the first thing you want to do is talk to an attorney and your insurance people and find out what steps need to be taken. Because the instant thing people do is let's go restore our backups. That's not actually the right answer. Especially as federal contractors with the new DFAR requirements, that are going into effect December 31st. There's a list of like 110 requirements that people have to do. And that's one of the things we were talking about, getting people educated on that. So I'm looking forward to creating our forum that we're planning to do, to bring some of the executives in and say, instead of you guys going out and trying to find individual answers, we're going to bring the resource to you, help you get educated, and then you figure out what your plan is as a group. That's going to save them a lot of time and money.
Absolutely.
So
looking forward to that as well.
I am too. So we'll get that together. So great talking to Rick. And if anybody wants to reach Gulf Coast Insurance, what's the best way to do that?
Just go to our website, gulfcoastins.com, and or call our number.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Or they can track me down and I'll find you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So. All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks. See ya.